Hey, how you doing? This is Steve Sims. I'm going to be chatting with you today about immersion, about fully getting engaged. You see, it all stemmed from a couple of days ago when I was just out on the bike and I pulled up somewhere and this guy came over to me and he said, have you ever done 120 mile an hour? I don't know why he picked that number, but he did. And I said, yeah. He said, what about 150 mile an hour? I said, yeah. And he said, what about 200 mile an hour? And I said, yeah. And he's like, oh. I said, haven't you? He's like, no. I said, you ever been on a plane? He said, yeah. I said, then you've done over 200 mile an hour. Yeah, but it's a different kind of thing, and it absolutely is. You see, when you're on a plane, you're doing, I think it's 300 mile an hour plus, whatever, and you're not engaged. You see, you're protected. You're in a bubble. It's like being in a car. You can be doing 100, 120 mile an hour in a car, and all you're concerned about is have you got the right radio station or is your cappuccino cold yet? Yeah, I'm actually sat here in my garage in my little toy shed and I've got a 1985 Ducati Hailwood around me, and it's got no ABS, it's got no electrics, and quite simply if you're doing anything over 80 mile an hour, it's shit scary. Because you're fully immersed, you're getting all the feedback, you're fully engaged in something. And I'm a great believer, and it's the engagement that increases the experience. You see, the bottom line of it is, you're doing 300 mile an hour on a plane, but you don't know it. If you're doing 100 mile an hour down the road, and you let those windows go down, and you stick your head out, you're gonna be fully immersed in the smell, the speed, the air, everything's coming at you. And I wanna actually help you with that a little bit more by telling you a story that I had within my concierge business. You see, I had this client, still have this client actually, and every anniversary he would contact us and say, right, okay, I've got to do something really cool. I want to do something around French food. I want to do something around diamonds. I want to do something around, he would give us a thing. And he contacted me one year and he said, okay, this is my 20th. And so I've got to do something brilliant. Now, bear in mind, this guy had spent anywhere between $50,000, I think the most expensive one year, maybe $750,000, just slightly south of that figure, on one event, on one date, his anniversary. And we had just gone past that really expensive one, and so it was the next year, and he said, I've got to do something wonderful, I've got to do something she's never going to forget, I've got to do something that's out of the ballpark, I've got to do something that's incredibly impactful. And it was that final word that completely changed our trajectory. You could have done something memorable. You could have taken over a penthouse in New York. You could have taken over an island. You could have, like we did, take over a museum and had Andrea Bocelli come in and serenade them. That's a great experience. That's a great memory. But it was that impactful thing. You see, when something's impactful, it's got to be very direct. It's got to be very fulfilling to that person. It's got to work on an emotional level. Bottom line of it is, if I walked up to you in the street and I started screaming in your face for 30 minutes, you're going to know I'm actually annoyed with you. But if I walk up to you after meeting you for 2 seconds and I punch you in the head, you're going to know the exact same thing. But the latter one took a lot less to get my point across that I wasn't happy with you. Now I'm not going to be punching you in the head when I see you, but you get the point. It's the impact. It's being impossible to misunderstand. It's getting down to the root level of the emotion that makes it most impactful. So I remember chatting with the guy and I said, well, what are we going to do? What is your history? Where did you meet? And I started interviewing him, getting your inner Sherlock Holmes out. I started chatting with the guy and I found out that 20 plus years ago, he'd started courting this girl at college. And she was basically rejecting him as usual. And then one year, he actually got his parents' carpet rug, which is like a big picnic blanket, a big tart and ugly thing. And he laid it out on the grass outside the dorm where she was actually studying. And as she came out, he hit the boombox that he had that Run DMC would have been proud of, had some smooth tunes, and bear in mind, this is in front of everyone in the college. He's got his mum's hamper, opens it up, cheap bottle of champagne and some sandwiches he'd got from the local gas station. Popped a cork and went, care to join me, with these little plastic champagne glasses. Now, as a kid at college, It's incredibly cheesy, but it was raw. You know, it was obvious that he was willing to make a spectacle of himself to win her over. Now, as it happened, she submitted. She actually came over, joined him on the picnic rug. It was a very cheesy moment. Probably only lasted about 45 minutes. She went to school. That was it. Job done. She was now there. He was in her head, and they became an item. Then they got married, blah, blah, blah. 20 years later, now we're on the anniversary. So we thought to ourselves, why don't we actually recreate that moment? Now, bear in mind, every year she had done things like fly to France just for one night for food, actually sip champagne on a vault of diamonds, on a mound of diamonds. Every year she had done something pretty incredible. But this year for the 20th, we wanted to take it back down to the core. So we went through photographs and we found pictures of the old carpet rug. We found the car rug, sorry. We found pictures of the hamper, found pictures of the old boombox, and we went out trying to find it. Do you know, the funny thing is, finding a boombox that actually worked was probably the hardest thing. We went through two that didn't work very well. We found one, but then we had no idea how to be able to transfer any music over with the latest connectors that we've got. You try connecting an old 1980s boombox with an Apple Mac laptop, ain't gonna happen. We had to get a cassette and send it off to an editor to actually be able to get it done properly. But that actually was the toughest thing. So we set this whole thing up to recreate the first time we'd ever met her. And we sent her off in a car, and then we set up the old rug, and we got the hamper, and we got the champagne. Wasn't as bad champagne as he had, it wasn't bad sandwiches he used to have, but everything was the look and feel from the first time that they met. You see, the devil was in the details. Full engagement. You can't half jump in the water. So we had to immerse them both with the first moment they'd met. Now, we had it on a public park, and you're not allowed to corner off anywhere that's public. So what we had these ghosters, which was guys and girls with these dogs on bloody great long leads that were literally walking these dogs around in a massive great circle around where this little picnic area had been set up. So we send her off in the car. She goes off. She knows it's her anniversary. She's wondering what's going to happen. We've already told her, be comfortable, you know. And she's like, oh, what am I going to do? Am I going to skydive somewhere or something like that? Apparently she's having a whole conversation with the guy in the car. Pulls up to the picnic area. Driver gets out, opens up her door. She takes one step out. The guy sat on the picnic rug, hits the boombox. I don't forget what the smooth tune that was come out. Knocks the old cork off, pours a glass of champagne and went, care to join me? Now this girl lost it. This whole point of actually going back to the detail, she had tears coming out of her. She was completely gone. We're all hiding around the trees, behind the trees, making sure A, no one can interrupt them, and B, just making sure everything goes without a glitch at all. I'll be completely blunt. I'm starting to tear up. One of my girls on the other tree is looking at me, and I'm kind of, I'm a married guy, and I'm going, oh, allergies, I'm all right, trying to do this, but she was completely gone. The driver literally had to hold her to bring her over to the picnic area. The guy jumped up, took her the rest of the way. Now to this day, she has spent, or he's spent, in excess of, or maybe I shouldn't say this, more than $2 million on these anniversaries. That one cost about $1,600, and the most expense was because we had to buy 3 boom boxes. Now, that is the one that if you ever corner her and talk to her about anniversaries, she will start telling you about how they relived the first time they ever met. You see, the attention is in the detail, the attention is in the feedback, the attention is in how coarse it is and how impossible it is to misunderstand what the moment is. I'm urging you, whatever you do in life, see how far you can get the engagement. Don't worry about the speed. If you're doing 400 miles an hour but you can't feel it, then you're not immersed in the moment. Focus on the moment and how can you get fully engaged? How can you get all of your senses working on that? I'm asking you, don't worry about the speed. Don't worry about the price. Worry about the detail, worry about the emotion it's going to evoke, and worry about the impact. That's the key. Anyway, this is me sitting in my garage of toys, enjoying life, and I'm urging you to do the same. All the best. Bye.